So our application is going to look something like this. That is, I have some pending work to do, and I create the list by clicking this save, and when I am done with a particular pending work, I click complete, and then it comes out of the list. So I go to this preview button to see how this is going to look. This is how it is going to look. So I can say do homework, I click save, it gets added up, this place gets empty, and when I say I've done something, I click home, it's gone. So this is the simple application, and this could be a list of things you want to sell. When it is sold, you say sold, it goes out of the list. Otherwise, the description and a picture is there on the web. So we are going to first discuss what this environment is about. So we have a design environment. So this is where we create the interface that a user will see over the web or on a smart app. Then this preview is the button which shows how it will look to the user when it is shown over the web. So this is the preview button, and we can go back to the editor, and in this you can see there are a lot of these elements that we normally come across on our e-commerce website. So there are description of things, something you can save, something you can interact with, and then we have a data. So the data is different types of data. Here we have only one app data, which is to do, and that app data, I've got some experiments here done, and we can call it something else when we develop the new one. So it has got some values, and then we have a workflow. So we have these three views that are very important. One is the data that I'm storing, which in this case is some pending item, and the other one is what happens when I click on those buttons. So here it says what it does is, when I click on a button, it creates a thing, and it clears that particular text box. So let's go back here, and we can, as an exercise, try to recreate this thing. So while you would be doing on page index, I'm going to be just doing it on a new page, and I can call this as pending items. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is, we've got an image we had at the other page. So I get to this image, and I can upload that image by this picture, short picture. And I can now make this in the corner. Okay, then I have this, grids and borders. I must include this snap to edges and grids, and mostly I'm going to arrange things in a horizontal manner. And so this is the page pending items, and I make the width as 1080, height as 767. So this is the pixel width and height that is normally used in a smartphone or a tablet. So this is the name of the page. Now I'm going to drag a text box, and I will make the text box layout, text box width as 400. So this is a little finicky, so we make this as the text box, and I can then drag the text box maybe here. Maybe I'll just drag the text box here, and I can call this as logo, text logo. And I can give this as the heading 1. And I write here as pending items. So that is my, and then I'm going to be putting an input box where we are going to be writing what things that is we are going to save. So I make this input box and I say input description or something. And we can rename this as input description. And before we go further, okay, you can try it out on how it looks, So this is how it looks now. Okay. Description style. Okay, so we created a text box where input will be given for an item. So now we go to the database and we go to data, data types, new data type, let's call it pending items. So I'm creating a data type called pending items, and it has just a single field called description. And the field type is text create. So there are many ways we can input data here. So I can now go back to my design. So I create a pending item, and now I want to create a button. Save. So I'm going to now add some kind of an actionability behind this button. So that's called a workflow. So I double click, start and edit workflow. So what do I need to do? When I click this, it should create an object pending item. It's a description, and the description is going to come from here. So I say start and edit workflow, and it say create a new pending item, and in the new pending item I set another field which is description, and it is the input description's value. So this is how, and once this is done, I then use this reset relevant inputs, and so this is what my button does. So let's go back to design, and let me see if my button is working. So I go to preview, and I say do a project, save. I go back to the editor, I go back to the data, I go back to all pending items, and it is there, do a project. So my thing is saving it. Now I go back to my design. I want to show all the pending items that are here. So what I do is I drag a thing called a repeating group, and this repeating group would be rows. That means there will be 4 items, but there are 10. I'll have a slider and 1 column, and I will drag a text box here. You'll see all of them will come, and this is my description. And when I go and click to this repeating group, my data source, do a search for pending items, so this repeating group, it will be search for pending items. Now I'm going to click on the repeating group. So the type of content is pending items. It's going to search the table for pending items, and this text current sales pending item descriptions. So that is going to be current sales pending items description. So you have to be clear that this is my pending repeating group and the type of content is this. I have to put the data source is search for pending items, and this is the text box inside. Its value is given as current cells pending item description. You don't have to type. When you say insert dynamic data, this is going to do it on its own. So first we do the repeating group, then we do the text box here, and now I can do preview. So I can say, save, and it comes along here. So what I have to do now is to put a button so that when it is done, this will be taking it out. So I can maybe make the little wider or something. Maybe I'll just make this smaller, and I'm going to drag a button here. Done. And then what should this do? This will go to start and edit workflow. And an action to delete a thing, to delete current cells pending item. And so let us see if this is working. Done. So that is the very basic no code, low code working. So we stop here.